Michael Anthony is a bad motherfucker. Fuck you, Eddie Van Halen, for saying that about Mikey.
When Michael Anthony suddenly dipped out of Van Halen, the whole rock world went crazy with questions. People wanted answers. Was there serious tension behind the scenes? Was that brotherhood everyone admired starting to fall apart? Nobody really knew the truth, but one thing was clear. Something major went down. Even after leaving, Michael never dissed his old crew. He stayed chill, stayed respectful, and kept jamming across the globe with new bands that showed he still had it. Fans couldn't pick a side. They followed both Van Halen and Michael's fresh projects, hoping it was all just a clean break for new adventures. But now, at 70 years old, Michael Anthony isn't holding back anymore. He's finally speaking out about Eddie Van Halen, and what he's revealing is shaking the entire rock community. This isn't just gossip. This is history being rewritten right in front of us. Before the fame, before the chaos, Michael's story started in a totally unexpected way, with a trumpet. Yeah, you read that right. Rock wasn't even on his radar at first, but by 13, something inside him flipped. The fire of rock and roll hit him, and he decided to switch things up big time. I wanted to be different from everyone else, he said. All my friends were playing guitar or drums, so I thought, why not try the bass? That one choice changed everything. It put him right in the path of two brothers who were already making noise in Pasadena, Eddie and Alex Van Halen. Back then, they were tearing through the local scene under the name Mammoth, packing school dances and small clubs with their wild, explosive sound. Then came the night that flipped everything on its head. Michael's band and Mammoth ended up playing the same high school gig, but disaster struck when the Van Halen brothers' PA system blew out right before their set. Their PA system broke down right before they were supposed to go on, Michael recalled. So I offered to let them use our equipment. It was just the decent thing to do, you know. That small act of kindness stuck with them. So when Mammoth's bassist, Mark Stone, eventually left, Eddie and Alex remembered that generous dude with killer vocals. Not long after, they called Michael to jam, and it was instant magic. It just clicked, Michael smiled. We started playing, and it felt like we'd been doing it for years. Then came the lineup that would rewrite rock history. David Lee Roth brought the flashy chaos. Eddie shredded like no one else. Alex smashed the drums with fire, and Michael locked in that booming bass that held it all together. That wasn't just a band. It was a movement, a brotherhood built to shake every stage they touched. Those early days were magic, Michael later said. We were just four guys who loved playing music together. The fame, the money, the drama, none of that existed yet. It was pure. The golden years hit hard. Van Halen took over Los Angeles like a storm. The crowd went nuts every time they stepped on stage at the iconic Whiskey A Go-Go. Michael could feel the bass rumbling through his chest as they tore into the first song. Pure electric adrenaline. It was 1977, and even without a record deal, Van Halen was already running the LA scene like kings. When Van Halen's debut album dropped in February 1978, it hit the rock world like a lightning strike. Michael Anthony's thunderous bass lines and sky-high backing vocals became the band's hidden weapon, the secret ingredient behind their unstoppable sound. Songs like Runnin' with the Devil and Ain't Talkin' 'Bout Love weren't just hits, they were anthems. Former manager Noel Monk even said, "People always notice Eddie's guitar playing, as they should, but what many don't realize is how Michael's bass and vocals were the glue holding everything together. Without that foundation, Eddie couldn't have flown as high as he did." The album exploded, selling over 10 million copies in the U.S. alone, instantly crowning Van Halen as rock's new kings. Overnight, they went from local legends to worldwide icons. The amps got louder, the stages got bigger, and the crowds went absolutely insane. For Michael, it was pure heaven. The dream he'd chased since day one was finally real. We were brothers back then, he said with a mix of pride and sadness. We'd travel together, party together, create music together. It felt like nothing could stop us. And for a while, nothing did. Album after album. Van Halen 2, Women and Children First, Fair Warning, Diver Down, and The Monster hit 1984. They just kept smashing through charts. Their single jump ruled the world, blasting from every car stereo, every club, every TV. Their videos ran non-stop on MTV, and the band looked untouchable, the living, breathing definition of rock and roll domination. But fame comes with shadows. Behind the flashing lights and roaring crowds, cracks started forming in that once solid brotherhood. Egos began to collide. Creative ideas clashed, and the pressure to keep raising the bar grew heavier by the day. That unbreakable bond they once swore by started to crumble. The golden years were still shining, but that shine was fading fast. Something dark was moving in, and nobody could stop it. Those clouds of tension would soon explode, leaving damage that success could never fix. Then came the contract. The moment that flipped everything upside down. It was 1984, and Van Halen was on top of the entire planet. The 1984 album had turned them into full-blown superstars with iconic hits like Jump, Panama, and Hot for Teacher. But behind the fame, something heavy was about to go down, something that would forever change Michael Anthony's role in the band he helped build. It was supposed to be another insane night on the 1984 tour, flashing lights, packed arenas, fans screaming their lungs out. But behind that stage, the vibe was off. Hours before showtime, Michael got pulled aside by his own bandmates, and what went down next felt like a straight-up setup. Former manager Noel Monk later exposed the scene in his tell-all book, Runnin' with the Devil, and his words painted a wild picture. They came to me just hours before we were supposed to perform, Michael revealed. All three of them, Alex and Dave standing there while I was handed papers to sign. Those papers weren't harmless. They were contracts designed to strip Michael of his future songwriting credits and slice away his ownership stake in the Van Halen legacy he helped create from scratch. And the worst part, it was retroactive, meaning he'd lose out on royalties from the 1984 album itself, the very masterpiece he'd poured his blood, sweat, and heart into. In that tense backstage moment, Michael Anthony was trapped between loyalty and survival. I had a choice to make, he said, his voice weighed down with emotion. Either sign away my rights or risk the entire tour. What was I supposed to do? Let down thousands of fans who'd already bought tickets? The pressure was unreal, and the clock was ticking. Former manager Noel Monk later claimed he would have told Michael never to sign if he'd been there. But that night, Michael was cornered. His own bandmates standing right in front of him, watching, waiting. Every second felt like a punch to the gut. With his back against the wall, he finally gave in. It was like being told I was no longer an equal partner in something I helped build from nothing, Michael confessed. It was devastating. The financial hit alone was brutal. Millions in future royalties vanished with just a few strokes of a pen. But money wasn't the real wound. It was the betrayal. You know what hurt the most? Michael later admitted, his voice cracking. It was realizing that maybe I was never really seen as an equal in the band. After all those years playing side by side, they saw me as replaceable. That one signature changed everything. The unity that once made Van Halen unstoppable was starting to rot from the inside. The brotherhood, forged through years of struggle, late nights, and roaring crowds, shattered beyond repair. Yet even through the heartbreak, Michael kept his cool. He didn't trash anyone publicly or start drama in the press. I never spoke about it at the time, he revealed. I wanted to stay professional. The music was what mattered. The fans, the energy, that moment on stage when everything just clicked. So I swallowed my pride and kept going. But inside, the damage was permanent. That contract didn't just rob him of his rights, it crushed his trust. And even though Van Halen kept touring, something deep had shifted. The brotherhood was fractured, and every note they played carried that hidden tension. The seeds of betrayal planted in 1984 had taken root, and it was only a matter of time before they blew up into something much bigger. The fallout didn't stop there. Just a year later, in 1985, the band got rocked by another bombshell. David Lee Roth was out. The wild, larger-than-life frontman who helped define Van Halen's entire image was gone, and fans everywhere were stunned. It felt like the end of an era, the final blow to a band already battling invisible cracks. But the Van Halen brothers weren't ready to let their legacy die. Out of the chaos came a brand new chapter. Enter Sammy Hagar, the Red Rocker himself. With that fiery voice and powerhouse energy, Sammy wasn't there to imitate Roth. He came to reinvent the band's sound. His arrival sparked something unexpected, a rebirth. Fans even gave it a new nickname, Van Hagar. Some hardcore fans doubted it at first, claiming no one could ever replace Roth's wild persona. But the band proved the world wrong, and they did it fast. With Hagar leading the charge, Van Halen dropped 4 consecutive #1 albums, 5150, OU 812 for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, and Balance. Each one was a monster hit, keeping Van Halen sitting comfortably on top of the rock world. Even with all the fame, the platinum records, and the wild success, things behind the curtain were far from perfect. The wounds from that 1984 contract mess never really healed. They just stayed buried under layers of tours, albums, and forced smiles. Old grudges and power struggles were still simmering like a slow burn, and with every studio session and tour, the pressure got heavier and harder to hide. By 1996, those cracks had turned into full-on breaks. The Hagar era, once the band's big comeback, ended in total chaos. Fights over music, clashing egos, and endless frustration tore Van Halen apart from the inside out. At this point, the band had become almost as famous for their drama and lineup switches as for their iconic riffs and insane solos. As the 90s rolled on, the once solid bond between Michael Anthony and Eddie Van Halen, built on brotherhood and years of respect, started falling apart in public. Fans could see it. The energy was gone. Eddie's attitude toward Michael shifted. First distant, then cold, and eventually just mean. In interviews, Eddie even threw shade, saying he had to teach Michael every note he ever played. Those words hit like a punch to the gut. Not only did they hurt on a personal level, but they also put Michael's talent under a spotlight in the worst way. Some fans started to doubt him, wondering if maybe Eddie's version was true, but Michael never fired back. He stayed calm, stayed cool, and let his playing speak for itself. Quietly, he protected his reputation with pure class, proving his worth through loyalty, skill, and dignity. Still, the changes inside Van Halen were undeniable. On Van Halen 3, 1998, Michael only played bass on 3 out of 11 songs, a shocking downgrade for someone who helped define the band's entire sound. Then, in 2004, when Best of Both Worlds dropped, his presence was cut down even more. Just some backing vocals, while Eddie handled all the bass parts himself. That once powerful brotherhood had basically vanished. The easy back and forth that once made their chemistry magic was replaced with distant, polite communication, if they even spoke at all. But even then, Michael refused to go low. He never dissed Eddie, never shaded the band, and never gave the media the drama they craved. His loyalty stayed strong to the music, the fans, and the legacy they had built together. Then came 2006. the moment that shattered everything once and for all. And it didn't come through a call, a meeting, or even a text. It came with a single click. One random day, Michael was scrolling online when he stumbled across something that froze him in place. There it was, an article saying he was no longer a member of Van Halen. No heads up, no warning, no conversation, just gone. I found out I was replaced by reading about it online, Michael revealed later, his voice still heavy with disbelief. After everything we'd been through together, I didn't even get a phone call. And who had replaced him? Wolfgang Van Halen, Eddie's teenage son. It wasn't about Wolfgang personally. Michael made that clear. He respected the kid's talent and understood what it meant for a father to want to play with his son. Eddie wanted to play with his son. I understand that, Michael said graciously. But to not even tell me directly after 30 years, that's when I realized how far apart we'd really grown. That moment changed everything for me, Michael admitted, his voice thick with emotion. It wasn't just about losing my job, it was about losing what I thought was my family. Fans all over the world were furious. The announcement hit like a thunderclap, setting fan forums and message boards on fire. At concerts, people held up signs that screamed their love for Michael, reminding everyone he wasn't forgotten. His Jack Daniels bass, those thunderous backing vocals, that big smile, they weren't just stage props. They were part of Van Halen's DNA. To millions of fans, Michael was part of the band's soul. His energy on stage couldn't be faked. That swagger, that larger-than-life vibe, it made every show electric. His voice added that secret harmony behind so many legendary hits, and his bass was the heartbeat that let Eddie's guitar take flight. Together, they made pure magic, even visually. Michael's flashy Jack Daniels bass right next to Eddie's striped guitar, it was rock history in motion. You couldn't picture Van Halen without that image burned into your brain, but instead of exploding publicly or dragging anyone through the dirt, Michael kept it cool. He refused to start drama, no matter how badly people wanted him to. No angry interviews, no cheap shots, just quiet dignity. He turned his focus toward the future, channeling his hurt into new music and fresh collaborations. But deep down, the pain was still there, raw, personal, and impossible to shake. Privately, Michael was mourning more than a job. He was grieving the loss of a brotherhood. The trust, the laughter, the wild nights, all gone. Underneath that grief, though, there was fire. I was angry, he later admitted. Angry that after everything I was replaced like I didn't matter. Angry that I was never thanked for what I gave to that band. 30 years of loyalty, erased by a headline. That kind of pain cuts deep, and it lit something inside him that wasn't going out anytime soon. Still, after the heartbreak and betrayal, Michael Anthony was about to rediscover something he thought he'd lost for good. The pure joy of making music with people who actually cared. But before that healing came, fate threw one last cruel twist his way. A shot at peace that would never come. When the shock of being replaced finally sank in, Michael found himself staring down a future he didn't recognize. 3 decades of his life, gone overnight. Van Halen wasn't just a band to him, it was everything. His family, his dream, his identity. Now he was standing at a crossroads asking the question no artist ever wants to face. Who am I without them? It was scary, he admitted honestly. When you've been part of something for so long, you start to wonder if you can exist outside of it. The fear was real, but destiny wasn't done with him yet. Out of nowhere came a familiar voice. Sammy Hagar, the Red Rocker himself. Not long after news broke about Michael's sudden exit, Sammy picked up the phone and gave his old friend a call that would change everything. Sammy called me up and said, "Hey, Mike, want to make some music that's actually fun again?" Michael recalled with a grin. And just like that, I remembered why I started playing in the first place. The spark reignited instantly. The two decided to hit the road again under a cheeky new banner, The Other Half. It was their way of saying they were the other half of Van Halen's best years, and fans loved it. They tore through classics like Panama, Why Can't This Be Love, and Right Now, mixed with Hagar's solo anthems, bringing that same explosive chemistry back to the stage. The first time we played together again, it was like no time had passed, Michael said with a smile. The connection was still there. The vocals, the rhythm, the friendship, it felt like coming home. That reunion didn't just revive their friendship, it reignited their creative fire. Soon after, Michael and Sammy took things up another level, teaming up with guitar god Joe Satriani and Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer Chad Smith to form a supergroup that would shake the rock scene. Chickenfoot! This wasn't just some side project. This was rebirth, a declaration that Michael Anthony was still here and ready to prove it. Chickenfoot was healing for me, he said. It reminded me that I still had something to offer as a musician, that my bass playing and vocals could still create something powerful and meaningful. For the first time in what felt like forever, Michael Anthony finally felt free. No tension, no egos, no contracts being shoved in his face, just pure music and mutual respect. Nobody was telling me what to play or questioning my abilities, he said proudly. There was mutual respect among all of us. We were equals, partners, creating something new. It was like he had finally broken out of a cage that had been closing in for decades. But Michael's comeback didn't stop with Chickenfoot. The fire kept burning, and soon he jumped into another powerhouse project, Sammy, Hagar, and the Circle. This time, the lineup was stacked. Sammy on vocals, Michael holding down the low end, guitarist Vic Johnson bringing the heat, and on drums, Jason Bonham, the son of Led Zeppelin's legendary John Bonham. Together, they weren't just making music. They were celebrating the entire history of rock and roll itself. The Circle became more than just another band. It was a living tribute to everything that made rock great. The energy, the heart, the rebellion. Their set lists were like time machines, covering every era of Sammy and Michael's careers, Van Halen anthems, Hagar solo bangers, even Led Zeppelin tributes that sent chills down the crowd's spines in honor of Jason's father. Fans couldn't get enough, and when Michael hit those signature bass notes, the crowd roared. His smile was back, his groove was back. He was home again on that stage. Despite all the history and heartbreak, Michael never badmouthed his old bandmates. He could have, easily, but he chose the high road every single time. His quiet professionalism made fans believe maybe, just maybe, Van Halen had simply gone their separate ways to chase new dreams. Out of respect for Eddie, Alex, and the music they made together, Michael kept his silence. He didn't need to tell the world how much it hurt. His grace said it all. Playing with the Circle reminded Michael exactly why he fell in love with rock and roll in the first place. The bitter ending of his Van Halen chapter could have crushed his spirit for good, but performing with real, genuine friends brought that spark roaring back to life. Working with Sammy, Joe, Chad, and Jason taught me something important, Michael reflected. It taught me that sometimes when one door closes, it's because there's something better waiting on the other side. These guys didn't just give me a job, they gave me back my confidence. The joy, the chemistry, the connection, it all felt natural again. He wasn't just another member of a band anymore. He was part of a brotherhood built on trust and mutual respect. Every show, every rehearsal, every laugh backstage was another reminder that he still belonged in this world, not because of his past, but because of who he'd become. But even as life felt good again, there was one question that always seemed to follow him, one he couldn't escape no matter where he went. Fans kept asking, would you ever make peace with Eddie Van Halen? Could you two ever find a way back to friendship after everything that went down? For years, Michael dodged that question with a polite smile and careful words. Deep inside, though, he knew the truth. Forgiveness didn't seem possible. The betrayal still burned too deep. At the time, he admitted, I didn't think I could ever forgive Eddie for treating me like I didn't matter. The pain had lived inside him for so long, it had become part of his story. But then, life, in its cruel way, threw another twist. Or maybe it wasn't life, maybe it was death. On October 6th, 2020, the world of rock and roll went silent. Eddie Van Halen, the man whose guitar could make the sky itself vibrate, had passed away after a long, brutal fight with cancer. He was only 65. Fans everywhere were shattered. News spread fast, and social media flooded with heartbreak, memories, and tributes. For a generation of musicians, Eddie wasn't just a legend. He was the reason they picked up a guitar in the first place. The news hit Michael like a thunderclap. Sudden, shocking, and impossible to process. One minute, he was living his normal day, and the next, his world tilted on its axis. Every song, every laugh, every late-night jam with Eddie came rushing back like a flood. The anger, the contracts, the tension, all of it vanished in an instant. None of that mattered anymore. When I heard Eddie was gone, Michael said softly, his voice breaking, everything else just disappeared. All the business stuff, the disagreements, the hurt feelings, none of it mattered anymore. I just remembered the kid I met all those years ago. This incredibly talented guy who changed guitar playing forever. In those first few days, Michael did what came naturally. He spoke through his heart. He shared old photos of the band's wild early days, full of smiles and pure joy, back when it was just about the music and the dream. His tribute wasn't flashy or bitter. It was real, just raw emotion, respect, and love for a man who had once been like a brother. It was his way of saying goodbye, not just to Eddie, but to the entire chapter of life that Van Halen represented. What Michael didn't tell the public at the time was the hardest truth of all. He and Eddie had never made peace. The silence between them had lasted all the way to the end. That realization cut deeper than any argument, any contract, any betrayal. Knowing we never got to talk again, Michael later admitted, that's what tore me apart. It was a wound no success, no tour, no tribute could ever really heal. The pain deepened when he found out he wouldn't be part of Eddie's private memorial service. Michael respected the family's need for privacy. He truly did. But being left out of that final goodbye felt like another heartbreak he wasn't ready for. After everything they'd shared, the dreams, the chaos, the triumphs, having to say farewell from afar was unbearable. He was a piece of my life for so many years, Michael said, tears in his eyes. We grew up together, changed music together. How do you just say goodbye to that from a distance? In the weeks that followed, Michael found himself drifting through memories like ghosts. Late nights in dusty garages, where they'd jam for hours until their fingers bled. The adrenaline rush of stepping on stage as the crowd roared their names. The quiet moments between shows, laughing, arguing, dreaming big dreams they actually made come true. Now, those memories felt like distant echoes, beautiful and haunting at the same time. The rage that once fueled him was gone. The disappointment lingered, sure, but it didn't burn anymore. What was left was a strange peace, heavy, bittersweet, and real. Eddie's passing forced Michael to face the truth that had always been there. Some things in life never get closure. Some stories don't have clean endings, he said quietly. Some relationships stay unresolved. Some words are never said. I had to accept the way it ended, not how I wanted it to. But that's life. It's not always neat. And yet, life has a way of throwing you a curveball when you least expect it. A second chance at healing, even after the final goodbye. for Michael Anthony, that chance didn't come from Eddie. It came from the one person who carried Eddie's legacy forward, his son, Wolfgang Van Halen. Months after Eddie's passing, Wolfgang reached out to Michael with an unexpected message, an invitation to come see his band, Mammoth WVH, play at the House of Blues in Las Vegas. Nearly 2 decades had passed since they'd shared more than a few polite words, but when Michael saw the message, he didn't hesitate for a second. He knew this was important, something deeper than just a concert. When the night arrived, Michael walked into that venue not knowing what to expect. His heart was pounding. Would it be awkward, emotional, maybe even painful? But the moment he stepped backstage, something in the air shifted. There stood Wolfgang, older now, a full-grown man, carrying not just his father's talent, but his spirit too. What could have been a tense, uncomfortable meeting turned into something pure and human. Michael looked at Wolfgang and saw more than just Eddie's son. He saw the continuation of everything they had once built together. Valerie Bertinelli, Eddie's ex-wife, was there too. And when the three of them came together, no words were needed. It wasn't about the past or the pain or what was lost. It was about connection, about love, legacy, and letting go. Wolfgang and I really talked, Michael recalled, his voice thick with emotion. About music, about Eddie, about everything. There was no anger, just two people sharing their grief and memories. Through tears, he added something that left everyone silent. I told him he was a piece of my heart and would be forever. That conversation wasn't about old grudges or lost years. It was about love, loss, and legacy. As they spoke, Michael could see so much of Eddie and Wolfgang. The same spark, the same drive, the same fire that once made Van Halen unstoppable. Watching Wolf perform that night, Michael felt something shift deep inside. It wasn't full closure. Eddie was gone, and the past couldn't be rewritten. But peace had finally found its way in. Seeing Wolfgang up there, Michael said softly, I saw Eddie's spirit living on through him. It was like watching our music come alive again. In that moment, the grief didn't disappear, it transformed. Through Wolfgang, Michael rediscovered the connection he thought was gone forever, not just to Eddie, but to the brotherhood and love that started it all. That night became a true turning point, the moment he finally let go of decades of pain. That night gave me something I didn't even know I needed, Michael admitted. Wolf could have carried his father's grudges, but instead he chose connection. Those words hit hard, proof that compassion can heal wounds fame never could. As Michael walked out of the venue, something inside him felt lighter. He wasn't rewriting history, just learning to carry it with peace. Even without that final talk, he found forgiveness through Wolfgang and the music that tied them together forever. Now at 70, Michael Anthony is still out there, rocking the stage with Sammy Hagar and the Circle. Every night, he picks up his Jack Daniels bass and pours his soul into those songs that shaped his life, and millions of others. Every time I play, he said, I feel like I'm talking to Eddie, keeping our brotherhood alive through the music we made together. Maybe that's the real tribute. Not words or apologies, but music. The same sound that built them, broke them, and ultimately connected them forever. Was Michael Anthony's emotional revelation about Eddie Van Halen surprising to you? What do you think it teaches about fame, friendship, and forgiveness? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. And don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the wildest stories in rock history. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.